Hi guys, it's Cindy Leach, your polymer clay tutor, and today's studio tip. I'm going to show you how you can get more contrast in your polymer clay Skinner blends. Now, if you're not familiar with what a Skinner blend is, that is a color blend where you can take more than one color of polymer clay and then you blend it into a gradient sheet or an ombre kind of technique like this, where you have one color shift to another color. Now you can do this with more than one color. More than two colors too, if you want. But there's a lot of cool things that can be done with a Skinner blend. And in fact, I was going to this week teach you how to make one of these zipper canes that uses Skinner blends, but during the process of making the samples, I realized that a lot of you may not understand how to get enough contrast in your color blends so that you can get the proper effect. Now I'm just going to show you the samples that I have here. I have these zipper canes that are done in several different colorways. But if you carefully look at the different patterns here that we've got, you'll be able to see that the canes that have the most contrast in color, so they go from the darkest to the lightest, will have the best effect in showing this zipper cane effect. So the way a zipper cane is made is you make a blend and then you chop it up and you flip it back and forth and do these different things with it, which I'll show you next week. But if you have a blend that has a lot of contrast, so from the dark to the white here, you will get a cool effect. But if you have the colors are too similar to each other, like in this case, we've got a blend from a cadmium red to kind of a pearly pink color here. The colors are too close in value. So they're both medium colors. They're neither dark nor light. And so beside each other, even though the effect is kind of cool, it loses the drama to it because the colors are too similar, and especially from far away, or if you were to reduce this cane, you would start losing the pattern visually. I mean, the pattern's there, but you just can't see it as well because the colors are blending with your eyes. So the easiest way to get a really obvious contrast between two colors is to use a dark color like I've got here. This is ultramarine blue, and then white. So white is white, and these are both Primo colors. But you know, there's a lot more blends than just from a color to white. And I mean, this is what most people will show you when they're talking about a Skinner blend, is they show you, from a color to white. And so what will happen is you'll go and you'll think, well, I don't want to just do a white and colored one. I want to do two colors that I really love. So you pick something like these two colors here. Now these are the two new colors from Primo. They are, what is this one? This one is Periwinkle, and this is Wisteria, and they're both very pretty colors. But if you blend them together into a Skinner blend or a Teardrop blend, which is my method of doing it, which is much easier, and I'll show you that I'll show you how it goes in a second. If you blend those two colors together into a gradient like this, because these are equal value, they're both medium colors. The blend is very pretty, but it's not going to work very well for a zipper cane because the contrast isn't that high. And you can test out your blends to see if there's much contrast if you're not seeing it here by just putting the two ends together. And then if you kind of squint your eyes, if the colors sort of melt together, then there's no contrast there. If I put this blend here, for example, next to each other, and I squint my eyes, I can still see that there's a big difference between light and dark. But say you've done this blend, you think it's really pretty, you still want to use it, you don't have to throw it away. What you can do is you can amp it up. Now, it's very simple to do. So the way a Teardrop blend works, and like I said, you're going to have to go watch the video, the Teardrop blend video. But you take your color of clay, you shape it into a teardrop. So I've got the periwinkle and the wisteria shaped into teardrops. You set them opposite each other and they become the shape of a triangle. And then you run them through the pasta machine like this. Now, if you don't have a pasta machine, you can use an acrylic roller. I also have a video for that. It takes a lot longer to do, but it is possible. So you fold it in half and you keep running it through the machine until you get a blend. Oh, and this guy can just tuck back in. There's no big worries about that. And you just keep blending over and over and over, and it takes quite a few passes, and the colors will, and you can see here, it's just starting to blend in the middle, but the colors will eventually blend into a smooth blend. Now, so I've done that here already just to save us some time, but like I said, we can amp it up. We can either darken the dark or we can lighten the light. So I'm going to look at my blend here and choose which one is the lightest. This purpley color is the lightest one of the two. And I'm just going to take some white, and it could be pearl, it could be some other super light color, but white is going to work quite well. And I'm just going to stick it on top. I could, if I wanted to go the other way and darken up this other end, I could stick a dark color onto here. It would have to be one that would blend nicely with that blue. Then what I'm going to do is just run this through the pasta machine and fold it in half and keep running it through until those colors blend together. Now see, this guy is all acting out of control. That's no big deal. I think people get too worried about this kind of thing. You can always just tuck that back in and it'll start working its way into your blend really quite easily. You can be a little bit more, less worried and more, just force that clay to do what you want it to do. There's another Claire out there that says you're the boss of the clay or something like that. It's quite cute. Okay, so as you can see, as I keep blending, this is going to end up lightening up and bringing the contrast up of those colors. Now, we don't have a lot of time because it takes several passes to go through. But if I was to continue to blend, I would get a more even blend like this, and you would have much more contrast here to the end color. See that now? So that if I want to use this in a cane like this with a zipper cane, I'm going to get a much more effective design. Now, there are lots of different things you can do. If, for example, you didn't have quite enough white, you could always throw on just another little strip of white on the end. Now, I did something very similar to this one here. I had a blend of gold to silver. There wasn't enough contrast in the color, so I threw a little white on the end, and I threw a little bronze on this end, and I ended up with a cane that had some nice contrast. Now, this is a really fun and easy cane. I will show you how to do that next week. And go ahead and start trying to do blends. Do them in little tiny batches if you want. And you're going to end up you'll start understanding how the blends work. You can always throw in a little more color to boost it up and get a little more contrast. And I hope that that was helpful for you, that you learned something from this. And if you did like this video, do let us know. And if you've got suggestions for future videos, techniques that you'd like to learn, products you'd like us to test, and you haven't seen a video done on it yet, then do leave a suggestion in the comment section below. We do have a ton of videos, so make sure to search through those and see if you can find what you need there. Alrighty, so we'll see you next week, and bye for now.